Welcome. In this playthrough of AEONS and OUTCAST, we take on Battle 2 against the Thief of Dreams. So, summary of our storyline, Zaxos is back and he's trying to explain why he's back and how he can help the group. He's explained they can go into the void and fix all the things he's done, but they will need his protection to do it. So we need to protect him. He will be taking over the role or the health of Gravehold. And of course, as soon as we pass through into the void, another beast comes out for us to meet. So this is the Thief of Dreams. For setup, we're going to replace the Nemesis turn order card with the Delirium turn order card. So one of these goes away from the deck. This comes in. I'm going to set the Dream mat next to this mat, which is going to be a track to place other cards. Set aside 4 copies of each relic and spell from each relic and spell supply pile. Set aside 6 copies of each gem from each supply pile, except the one with the lowest cost. And shuffle all those set aside cards together and set them face down to form a dream deck. Place this next to the dream mat. So that just means all of our supply piles are just going to have 1 card in it, except for our cheapest gem. And then we're going to unleash twice. So there's a little backstory flavor text. So unleashing, draw a card from the dream deck and place it in space 1 of the dream mat. So we're going to place cards throughout here, and as they go across the stack, once they get to 6, when a card moves onto this space, any player suffers 2 damage, and place that card on the bottom of the dream deck. Additional rules: when the Delirium turn order card is drawn, unleash, and then the Nemesis takes a turn as normal. When a new card is placed on the dream mat, as needed, move the other cards 1 space forward to make space for it. When a supply card is pushed to space 6, place it on the bottom of the dream deck, and any player suffers 2 damage. Cards on the dream mat are considered to be part of the supply, so we'll be able to buy or purchase from that mat. When an effect refers to a supply pile, it is not referring to the dream mat. And then during any player's main phase, that player may spend 3 ether to destroy a supply card on the dream mat. When there are no supply cards on the dream mat, unleash. If the dream deck is empty and there are no supply cards on the dream mat, the players win. So it looks like we have 2 win conditions, going through the dream deck or doing 80 damage. And when a player becomes exhausted, Gravehold suffers 5 damage instead of unleashing twice. And then for the Nemesis deck, we're going to have 3 level 1, level 2, and level 3 cards. And then for 1 player, we're going to have 1 tier 1, 3 tier 2, and 7 tier 3s. But we will also be using the upgraded basic cards that we've been given. So that'll be the 1 upgraded basic, the 3 upgraded tier 2, then we have 3 upgraded tier 3. So we'll need 4 more just regular basics, so we'll give them a quick shuffle and add those to that stack. And then each of these will be shuffled separately. And we'll put the 2s on top of the 3s, and then the 1s on top of the 2s. So down at the table to finish setup for a player, we've got our 10 health, got our deck constructed. We've taken our treasure. Since it's a spell, we've replaced a spark with it, so that's our opening hand. We have Zaxos over here, so he becomes the new Gravehold for damage that we're trying to protect. And if we fill him up with charges, he'll immediately do one of his spells. And just note that effects that are triggered when a player resolves their ability are also triggered when Zaxos Outcasts resolves his ability. So if we resolve this, we'll also be resolving, if you're not exhausted, gain 3 life. Otherwise, Gravehold gains 3 life. So we'll set him off to the side, take his spells, and just place them over here. Due to space, instead of building a circle here for these, we're just going to use my Uber stacks to hold these out. So we have our tier 3 cards, tier 2, and tier 1s. Then we have all the supply cards that we needed to take out and shuffle. And for setup, we are going to unleash twice, which is going to bring out 2 cards. First one is a Fortified Frost. It'll come in position 1, but then it's going to be moved over to make room for Transmuter's Lens. And just my interpretation, I couldn't find an FAQ on this just yet, where it says cards on the mat are considered part of the supply. I'm assuming that means I can purchase them there. But it also says when an effect refers to a supply pile, it is not referring to the dream mat. I bring that up because of this card, because it says if this card supply pile is empty, which would be here, it deals 1 additional damage, even if there's 1 over here. That's my interpretation, so playing this fairly early after its release, so we'll see how that goes. And then just need to shuffle our turn order deck, and we're ready to get going. All right. We are starting with the Thief of Dreams. So that means we are going to unleash and then take a Nemesis turn as normal. So these will move down. And a lightning arrow has shown up. And we are getting a Dream Devourer with 8 health. Immediately place this card on space 1 of the Dream Mat. Move this forward as though it were a supply card. If this moves onto space 6 of the Dream Mat, discard it and Gravehold suffers 6 damage. Now we're going to have moving damage. So we'll at least have different colored dice. Then it will be our turn. So our treasure card is, we can cast it. Of course, after we cast, deal damage and focus any player's level 3 breach. We're going to play all of our money, and we may suffer damage, which we're going to do. And move this open to focus your closed breach with the lowest focus cost. And with our 4 money, we're going to go straight for our only Twisted Fang. End our turn, drawing 5. And next, dealing 1 damage. So this guy goes down to 7. We can focus our 3 breach. We've got 3 money to bank. We're going to spend 2 to open this, then prep 2 sparks. End our turn and draw 5. Nemesis gets a turn. So regular turn, so we're not getting any cards. So Backlash, unleash twice. Any player draws a card. Or Gravehold suffers 4 damage. And refreshing a memory. When a card moves onto this space, any player suffers 2 damage. Because that's what's going to happen if we unleash twice. But we do get to draw another card, which we know what it's going to be. All right, we'll do that. So unleashing twice. Getting a Fortified Frost coming out in the first spot. Then when the second one comes out, that one's going to move over, but we've got a duplicating Sazite. Then this goes on the bottom of the stack, and any player takes 2 damage. And we draw a card. So now we should be getting the rest of the turns here. So 1 damage and 1 more. Pepper 2 spells. Oh yeah, and we took damage again. Going to use that to gain a charge. And anytime we were to gain a charge, we can place it over here. And with the 4 money, we're going to not suffer the damage and purchase the galvanized sapphire allows us to gain 2 money, and Zaxos gains a charge. So we'll get these 3 and 2 more. And we will be finishing up the round. And since there are no additional of this pile or card in the supply, it's going to deal 4 damage. Then this is going to deal 1 more, so that will take the Dream Devourer down. And we get to focus our level 3 breach. Plop into Sparks. And then with 3 money, we'll go ahead and open our level 3 breach. And I guess we shouldn't have, we can move that one over. All right, next turn, spell free. Time to shuffle for another round. So I think in the last playthrough, I said I had a path to follow, which was going to be to buy a whole bunch of these cards over here. And the Nemesis is coming and taking that path away from us. And because he's a thief of dreams. Right on cue. All right, unleashing. Duplicating Sazite. New card. Deluge of Magic. It's got a power 3, no way to get rid of it. Reveal the top 4 cards of the Dream deck. Place 2 of the revealed cards on the bottom. Return the rest to the top of the deck in any order, then unleash twice. That doesn't... Not terrible, I guess. Then Nemesis is going again. So I'll take one of these off. Get another card. Unleashing. Bringing out another Duplicating Sazite. And we are going to take 2 damage. That goes to the bottom, down to 5 health. Then we'll move this to focused or closed breach. The fewest cost. All right. Gravehold takes 4 damage. And by Gravehold, they mean Zaxos. So down to 26. Any player gains a Curse Shard from the Curse deck and places it on top of their deck. So that was a Chaos Strike. So Cursed Shard, we've got our Curse deck here. Let's gain an Ether, place this on top of your deck, or spend 2 to destroy it. So we're going to get 4 turns in a row here. First one. 2 damage. 3 damage. He goes down to 77. All right, we're going to be making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're not going to take a damage, but he gets a charge. And since I don't get 6 money much, we'll go ahead and buy a card that costs 6. So that's gain 3 ether. Next time you gain a card this turn, you may discard a prep spell that costs 1 or more. If you do, any ally gains a card from the supply that costs less than or equal to the card you gained. And we already know what that card's going to be. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going again. We're going to bank 2 money and destroy the Cursed Shard. And prep some spells. For our next round. So this is going to do the 3 plus the 1 plus another 1. So 5 and 6 damage. Down to 71. 2 sparks. Going to end up with 6 money. And Zaxos getting a charge. And we're going to go with the lightning arrow. Deal 3 damage. You may discard a card in hand. If you do, Gravehold gains a life. 4 of our next cards. And the 5th. And 1 more turn. So 1, 2, 3. Down to 68. We're going to end up with 5 money. Not going to hit herself. We'll get this for 2. Dealing 2 damage, may discard a card in hand. If you do, deal 1 additional damage. And the remaining 3, we'll go with the Carnivorous Rooks. Gain a money, you may destroy a card in hand to gain 0 money equal to its cost. Or destroy this to focus your closed breach with the lowest focus cost twice. Drawing 5. Here we go. Now we're getting some spells. And it's time to shuffle up for another round. So down to 26 health for us, and the Thief of Dreams is down to 68. And we are going first. We have 4 money, which we will use for 2 charms, or charges, then 3 spells. Ending her turn, getting 2, and 3 more. Nemesis gets a turn, remove a power. Any player suffers 3 damage, and Gravehold suffers 3 damage. We're the Hunt the Weak. So we're down to 2. That goes to 23. Then we got a Thief of Dreams coming up, so get another card over here. Fortified Frost. This is going to go off. So revealing the top 4 cards of the Dream deck and place 2 of those on the bottom and 2 on top, then unleashing twice. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm good with 1 of each coming out. Then 2. And our next card, Spiraling Nightmare, Power 2. Unleash, Gravehold suffers 4 damage. If there is a card on space 5 of the Dream mat, move it 1 space forward. For the rest of the game, cards on the Dream mat skip space 5 of the track. All right, rest of this round is going to be us going. So we're going to deal 5. So down to 63. Then 3 down to 60. And we can discard a card to have Gravehold gain a little health, which we will do. So up to 24. Then deal 1 damage down to 59. Then prepping spells, 2 money and gain a charge for our friend. So there's the charge, and we'll spend the 2 for another one. And for our next round, spellless, but we know it's going to be us. So we're going to deal 3 damage here. We may discard a card in hand. If you do, deal 1 additional damage. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Down to 55. And then 1 more and 1 more. So down to 53. Then our Rooks, we're going to gain a money. We may destroy a card in hand to gain money equal to its cost. We're going to destroy this. No more money, though. We are going to have 3 money, which we're going to use to buy a charge. And then proceed with this. So we're also going to get our ability after we do this one. So a Clarifying Light. Any player opens a breach. All right. Then we gain 2 charges. And gain 2 life. And then because of our ability, we're going to gain 3 more life. So very useful. That'll be your turn. 3 and 2. And we're going next. Prepping spells. And we're going to end up with 5 money here. We'll spend 2 on some frost. And 3 on this guy. And 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will end the rounds. So off to shuffling. So we're down to 24 health. Thief of Dreams is down to 53. And he's got 3 things on our board. We will be going first. So 5 damage, 48. Then 4 damage, 44. And we can discard a card to have Gravehold gain a life. We're going to choose not to. Prep 2 spells. Play these. We'll gain a charge for Zaxos. And with our 4 money, give him 2 more. Next round. All right. So dealing 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to discard for 4 damage. Down to 40. Then just a nice even 2 damage down to 38. We're going to play these just for the money and ignore the maze. So 2 money. Gets us a charge and 2 sparks. And for our next round. So 2 and 4 damage. Only got 1 spell in hand. I'm going to play this to destroy a card in hand and gain 0 money for it. Then we're going to have 5 money to play with, which we're going to use for charges. So our next one, Crystalline Shield. Zaxos gains 8 life. This can cause him to have more than his maximum life. Or any player gains 6 life. This can cause that player to have more than their maximum life. And I am good with that. So we're going to have 13 health. That will help us start doing our ability some. Actually, no, that's a bad play. We're going to gain 3 life anyway. So gain 8 life over here. So 32. Then we'll gain 3 over here, just going up to 10. Ending our turn. For next round. Nemesis is going. Remove a power. Unleashing twice. Twisted Fang. And a lightning arrow. And the player with the most expensive prep spell discards that spell and suffers 2 damage. All right, so discarded and 2 damage, which we will pop over here to gain a charge. Then we get a turn. No spells to cast, but we've got 2 to prep. 4 money. Throw a charge over here. We're going to purchase a Twisted Fang. And end our turn. And Thief of Dreams. Infused Ignition. This will trigger. So we're going to unleash bringing out a Rooks. Then we're going to take 2 damage from this, and it goes on the bottom. We're going to use that to draw a card. Then Gravehold takes 4 damage, down to 28. If there's a card on space 5 of the Dream Mat, move it 1 space forward. So we're going to take 2 more damage. And gain a charge. For the rest of the game, cards on the Dream Mat skip space 5 of the track, which basically means it's going to trigger there. So we'll just remove that die. And the next card, it's a Fool's Bargain. To discard 2 cards in hand that cost 4 or more. Power 2, unleash twice, move each card on the Dream Mat 1 space forward. And shuffle for another round. So we're at 28. Thief is at 34, and we are at 4. And the Thief is going again. So that's moving down, taking 2 damage. Draw a card. Confused Ignition. Remove a token, draw a card. Silent Decay, we need to spend 8 money. Power 2, unleash twice, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Any player gains a Cursed Bolt from the Cursed deck and places it on top of their deck. And then the Nemesis goes. Not good. So we're unleashing twice. Well, first one goes off. We take 2 damage. We're taking damage. We're going to trigger and gain a charge. So normally when we become exhausted, we unleash twice, but the special rules here is instead Gravehold suffers 5 damage, so we're down to 23. Then destroy one of your breaches. We'll get rid of that one. We discard all of our charge tokens. We don't have any. So do not believe that affects him, because that is not considered another player or us. Then we deal excess damage times 2 to Gravehold, but our ability on the back is it's still 1 for 1. So that was unleashing 1. Then we unleash again. So Gravehold takes the 2 damage, down to 21. And we get a Rooks. And then we move each card on the Dream Mat 1 space forward. So 2 more damage. Down to 19. Take one off of this one. Get another card. 10 health. Sign of Dreams. Move each card on persistent effect is move each card on the Dream Mat 1 space forward, and Gravehold suffers 2 damage. And I think that was a good enough turn for him. So we get to go for 4 turns in a row. So this is going to deal 5 damage. This is going to deal 4 damage. And we'll discard a card to have Gravehold go up to a nice even 20. Because we only have room for 3 spells anyway. Then we'll play this to destroy a card and gain 0 money. And then with 2 money, gain a charge. plan for next round. So it's our turn. So first, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We can discard a card to make it 4 damage, so down to 30. Then deal 2 damage down to 28. And 1 damage to get rid of this. Prep 2 spells. Get 4 money to get 2 charges. End her turn. 3 cards and 2. We go again. We are going to deal 5 damage, 6, 7, and 8. Down to 20. Choosing not to discard a card. Prepping 2 spells. We're going to be banking a total of 4 money and automatically get a charge, which is going to trigger. So, Glowing Insight. Any player draws 4 cards and preps any number of spells in hand to their opened or closed breaches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll prep a spell. Then our ability is going to let Gravehold gain 3 life. We already had 4 money banked. We're going to bank 2 more and just get 3 charges. Then end her turn. We have a spell in hand, so we've got to keep that. We only get 4 cards in. Our next turn is going to be 5 damage plus another 4, 10 damage. So if we hadn't beat up that one guy, we would have won already. Thought something like that might happen. Prepping spells, 4 money. We'll buy a spell. Then drawing 1 card and 4 more. And shuffle. So we've got the Nemesis down to 10. He's got Zaxos, aka Gravehold, down to 23, and we've been exhausted. Nemesis goes first. So we're going to unleash twice. So 1 and 2. Actually, no. Twisted Fang comes out. And a Fortified Frost. Then Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Down to 20. Any player gains a Cursed Bolt from the Cursed deck and places it on top of their deck. So a Cursed Bolt. On cast, deal damage, place this on top of your deck, or cast, deal damage, discard 2 cards in hand. If you do, destroy this. Then our next card is Unleashing twice, and Gravehold suffers 4 damage. So basically, to do all that math, we've got 2 cards going to the bottom at 2 damage each. So Gravehold's going to take a total of 8. So down to 12. And Twisted Fang. And a Transmuter's Lens. So we just got toppled. Next turn, Silly Thief of Dreams. So 2 more damage, down to 10. Bringing out Infused Ignition. And a minion, Nyx the Spine Cruncher, 14 health, persistent effect. Unleash, any player suffers 2 damage. But now we know we've got 4 turns so we don't need to worry about that. So we're going to deal 2 + 1 and discard another card for another damage. So 4 damage, down to 6. Then 2 and 3 more damage, down to 3. Prep the spells that are in this. Get 3 money and an auto charge. So there's the one auto, and we'll pay for the other. Draw up, but it's going to be our turn, and 5 damage will be enough to take on or out the Thief of Dreams. So that was an interesting mechanic, the way those come out and went down. Really kept me off from doing what I wanted to do, but TAQREN here is a bit overpowered, I guess I could say, but I don't want to jinx myself before the other 2 minions come out, or nemesis. But to the conclusion of our battle, we start looking around and notice someone else coming towards us. So Q has now joined the party. We have a discussion about trust, and then we're instructed to open up deck 2B and envelope 2B to add Q to our barracks. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at her. So with her, it's just a card with her story. Special abilities to draw 3 cards. That's pretty nice. And then our deck 2B. All right. Got a gem with a cost of 4. Elongated Lux. Gain 2 ether. The next time you focus or open a breach this turn, gain a charge. Then we've got a 4-cost relic. Chain of Retrieval. Focus any ally's breach or return a card in your discard pile to your hand that costs 6 or less. Maybe. Then we have a Paired Storm. Link. 2 spells with Link may be prepped to the same breach. Cost of 3, deal 2 damage. This is the second time you have cast a Paired Storm this turn, deal 2 additional damage. So 2 for the first one, 4 for the next one. Arcane Relay. Any ally draws a card and then reveals their hand. Deal 4 damage. Deal 1 additional damage for each card in that ally's hand that costs 1 ether or more. Don't think I've gotten an 8 in a long time playing this game. Then starter cards for our new Mage. With her Call of the Void is her special card. So while prepped, first time you play a gem or relic that costs 1 or more each turn, play that card twice and then return it to the supply. And deal 1 damage on the cast. Then we're going to have our level 2 treasures that we'll get. So Broken Tooth. When a player opens a breach, any ally draws a card. So these are meant to go for the whole party, but in a party of 1, it's not Broken Tooth, probably isn't going to be worth it for me. Rejuvenating Diamond. When Gravehold gains life, Gravehold gains an additional life. That's always good. And a Poison Heart. At the start of the game, set this next to a supply pile that costs 5 or less. These spells deal 1 additional damage when cast. That I really like because of the Twisted Fang. So that is probably the one I'm going to be choosing. Then it looks like Zaxxo's got a couple more spells. So an Interceding Flare discards tier 1, 2, or 3 power in play, or any player gains 2 spells from any supply pile. Very nice. And then a Twisting Flame. Any player casts a prep spell without discarding it. Repeat this 2 more times. Ooh. Or 2 different players gain a gem that costs 5 or less and places it into their hands. Very nice. All right, so evaluating these. I'm good with my low cost. Don't want to get rid of something that costs 3. Gaining a charge as an automatic, not getting rid of that. And that came in handy, so I do not think I'm going to take that. As far as relics go, I like being able to destroy cards. I mean, focus any allies breach. That's going to maybe return a card in your discard pile to your hand. So if you don't have a discard pile, this is very situational. So not a fan. Paired Storm, cost of 3. I like the cheap, not giving that one up. Possibly letting him gain a charge and then Gravehold gaining life. I mean, if I can pull that off, that would be awesome. I feel guilty not taking any. We're going to take this one just in case I get rich one day. All right. So that concludes everything for Battle 2. As always, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. If so, please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.